Hey everyone, the authoritarian leftist ideologues are hard at work getting themselves prepared and propagating a political message, a political narrative to the Canadian people, using that fear-mongering. Man, I remember growing up under the whole pretense of, ooh, the Russian scare. Now, if you're of Gen X, right, you remember this completely, right? It was all about the Russian scare. As you were growing up, everything was all about, oh, there could be bombs dropping tomorrow because the Russians were coming. The Russians were coming. Oh, no, look out. Oh, it's the Red Scare. They're going to bomb us into Bolivia. Never happened, did it? Never happened at all. But they're learning, and they've learned from, hey, that's a playbook that we should, hey, look, it works. It works great. Look, people can be dictated, controlled, and micromanaged if they're scared of a potential threat. So, hey, let's use that playbook exhibit. I guess we're at like what, Z now? There's enough fucking evidence now that's been introduced. I guess we're exhibit, not just A, B, C, D. We're like at the last of the fucking alphabet now. Like, how much more proof do you need? Exhibit Z. Analysis. Karina Gould wants to save democracy from fake news. How? That's a good question, isn't it? How? How you going to do that, Karina? How you going to save democracy from people having opinions presented to them that's not part of your ideology, right? Because that's really what these ideologues are saying. Is like, we don't want anyone to hear alternative views, news, or opinions, whether it's from domestic sources or external entities or sources. Listen. If what you're all about, if you're moral in your stance and if you're objective in your reason and your logic, and the people are so easily swayed to just pure dogmatist, as you suggest in these kind of articles, well then, shouldn't you be able to win just by saying, giving them the better answer, giving them the better information, giving them some truth, some logic, some reason? Shouldn't you be able to overpower the ideologues by giving people truth? And if you don't have that capacity, well, how do you think you're going to do that? By forcing yourself upon them, by imposing yourself upon them, by denying people different opinions or narratives. How do you think that's ever going to happen? Do you think you really create a well-informed society by saying, you got a list of what I got to say and what I got to say only? Sure, there's political propaganda that comes from all different fucking places, not just in our own domestic media outlets, and maybe some that are in the U.S., right? Some of the Democratic bullshit, or even some of the Republican stuff, or, yeah, maybe some Russians, maybe Venezuelans, hey, maybe George fucking Soros, right? Maybe some of these communists, maybe some of these socialists, maybe some fascists. Sure, Canadians, hey, we live in the internet age, the age of information, so people are going to get all kinds of information. The fact that the government wants to fucking deny your ability to have all kinds of information presented to you and come to or discern the difference between truth from bullshit, from fact, from propaganda. The government's saying, you're fucking too stupid, Canada. You're so fucking stupid that I have to tell you how to think. Well, if they truly believe that, and if you truly are that stupid, well then you can be led by any fucking shepherd, right? You're a sheeple, and any shepherd that steps into the fray can lead you down whatever path they want to, which tells you that it's your society. It's whatever's entrenched in your society. It's the education system. It's what's wrong with the society that you think they're so fucking stupid. Why are they so open to propaganda? If it isn't by sheer fact that you use propaganda and bullshit and mysticism as a pretense for the information you present to them. So you're like, because I lie to them, I recognize that people will automatically recognize my lies, so they might fall for other people's lies. You know how you counter lies? Karina? How you counter fucking lies, how you counter a society or a civilization that's built on lies is to stop fucking lying to people. Start telling them the truth, then they'll understand the difference. You know, if I raised my kids and me and my wife constantly lied to them every day, of course I would expect and understand that, yeah, they'll be easily led astray by people that are going to give them this different kind of lies. But they're still going to lie to them. How my kids, how I understand that they'll be able to go through life and not be easily tricked or manipulated by liars or snake oil salesmen is by giving them an objective mindset, right? giving them the capacity to understand and discern the difference between lies, fiction, propaganda, bullshit, and logic, reason, morality, and universally consistent principles. Teach people those things, but see, that's the thing. The government, the people in politics, they can't do that, because the minute they tell people how to be objectively, logically consistent in their reasoning in their mind, well, then the people will reject all the ideologues. So this is the problem with ideologues. They want to keep you entrenched in their ideology, but because they use ideology and mysticism as the means to an end, well, of course you're open to any other ideology or mysticism too. So once again, it's always a contradiction in terms. It's always a contradiction in logic in their fucking mind. But they're putting forth this message because they know a lot of people will fall for the bullshit, because obviously your brain doesn't know how to understand the difference. Well, that's another thing with postmodernism or moral relativism, where they pretend and put forth the message in our education system that there's no such thing as right from wrong. There's no such thing as actual morality. It's all subjective, right? Well, when you put forth that message, this is what you end up with. This is what you end up with. Where now you have to fight constantly every day, day in, day out, to, it's all about an ideological battle, right? You want to create ideologues, you want to educate people into an ideology and then think that they're going to reject other ideologies. Well, no. Critical thinking skills, giving people the capacity and the ability to use logic, use reason, use universally consistent morals and ethics, use philosophy, right? The search for truth, which is basically the science, although it's not a particular science like 2 + 2 is 4, but using a scientific type method to get to a universally consistent narrative. Ideologues don't care about any of that shit, which is why they're scared that some other ideologue will come along and take their place and take their position. Politics, folks. Politics. If we don't see something more robust in the next 6 months, then we need to take action. I mean, look at this fucking thing, right? And that's another thing. These leftist ideologues, like I've said in past videos, the authoritarians that would predominantly come from the right, let's say, or you'll see them come from a mile away. These folks, they come, like I said, these are wolves in sheep's clothing. These are people that want you to be disarmed and not concerned with them because, hey, look, we look friendly. Look, oh, look at this. Those are the people you really need to concern yourself with, because, like I say, they're functioning in stealth mode. At least a dictator, an authoritarian right-winger, you'll see them come from a mile away. These people, pure stealth, right? They want to trick you. They want to come with some pretense of benevolence, right? They want to gain your trust so they get close enough to you to fucking shank you the minute they're that close. In the aftermath of the 2016 American presidential election, Western democracies awoke to an uncontrolled and potentially dangerous world of political disinformation, targeted ads, bots, and foreign interference. Ooh, scary stuff. Oh no, the Inquirer and all these tabloid articles, they're now online and people will fall for them. That's basically what they're saying, right? Like I say, they're basically telling you as a Canadian citizen that you're fucking too dumb. You're an idiot, you're a moron, and without us saving you from the Russian bots or ideologues in other fucking countries or from propagandists from other geographical areas all over the planet, oh, without us being your savior, oh, look at how stupid you are. Look at how easy you'll fall for the rhetoric. How Justin Trudeau's government intends to respond to this new reality before the 2019 federal election should become clearer this spring. My hope is that over the course of the spring that we have some more in-depth conversation with social media companies. We'll have to see where those go and how we think they're progressing, Karina Gold, the Minister of Democratic Institution, told CBC News in a recent interview. Are we going to see something more robust in the next 6 months? If we don't see something more robust in the next 6 months, then we need to take action. Her words echo a warning Prime Minister Justin Trudeau reportedly delivered to Facebook's chief operating officer last fall. Fix the fake news problem or face more intrusive federal regulation. Right? The Ministry of Truth. 2 + 2 is 5, motherfuckers, and you better get on board. or we'll come down upon you. And you won't be able to escape our ability to micromanage and regulate what you do. So get on board or get the fuck out of Dodge. That's what these ideologues, that's what Justin Trudeau is saying. The United States is still coming to terms with what happened to its democracy in 2016. Last week, the U.S. Special Counsel investigating Russian interference in the election, former FBI Chief Robert Mueller, indicted 13 Russians over their alleged role in the scheme to sow discord in the U.S. political system through online platforms and messages. It's not too early to have a discussion about what could go wrong in Canada in 2019. In fact, that conversation might be overdue. I mean, think about that. Like I say, they just want to have their propaganda put forth seamlessly. They want the CBC and all the other established media and outlets in Canada that keep, like I say, and the Liberal government and the government dipshits are bailing them out on a continual, ongoing basis or promising bailouts to them. They just want everybody, hey, put forth our propaganda. I mean, what other fucking places, what other countries in history did they try to put forth and present a single-sided narrative where any narrative outside of our scope is propaganda? Huh? It's all about, you better get on board with what we got to say, and if you're outside of our scope, then hey, you're an outlier, you're an outcast, and we'll come down with the heavy-handed authoritarian tactics and the full force of government upon your ass. Where have you seen this before, Canada? Where have you seen this before in history? Anyone? You've seen this. It's all about ideologues. Ideologues put forth this kind of narrative. People that care about freedoms and true diversity don't put forth this kind of bullshit propaganda narrative where you have to think with one single mind, in one single vision, with one single voice, all headed in one single direction. That's the authoritarian, that's the collective, that's the rhetoric of those who are seeking to impose their mandates, their edicts, and their will upon you. And that's the truth of the matter, folks. I'll post a link to this article in the description of the video below. Come on, people. You got to start thinking about these things properly. If you allow these people to keep pushing that goalpost further and further left into that collectivism, that form of subjugation, well, eventually you're going to wake up someday and realize that you're going to experience your Venezuelan moment, your communist moment, your Nazi moment. And when that time comes, well, it's too late at that point. You're not going to be able to unwind things very quickly or very easily or very readily at that point. So the onus is upon you to be preemptive and push back against this stuff now. Not later, not in a month, not in a year, not at the next election. Start pushing it back against this bullshit propaganda now. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.